Hello everyone, good morning. We will begin our activity this morning by I'd like to invite you to stand as we ask Miss Bernicia Parker to lead us in prayer.
Good morning, everyone. Could we bow our heads in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for giving us life this morning, for allowing us to gather here today to this occasion at the establishment of the Agriculture Produce Procurement Facility, that whatever decision that is made, whatever that will be done with good faith and lead us in the right direction. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Ms. Parker. Please be seated, everyone. Please allow me to acknowledge the presence with us of Dr. Irvin McIntyre, the Minister for Finance, Economic Development, Climate Resilience, and Social Security. Honorable Dr. Vince Henderson, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business, Trade, and Energy. The Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, Honorable Roland Royer. We have with us also the Honorable Julian Defo and the Honorable Lakia Joseph, Ministers of State in the Ministry of Agriculture. Mr. Ricky Brumans, the Director of Agriculture, as well as Ms. Paula Platsko, the General Manager of DEXIA, Mr. Oliver St. John, who is, supposed to be with us. He is part of the Climate Resilience Project team, other senior officials of the Ministry of Agriculture, members of the media, those of you listening via our various media platforms. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This morning, we're here to sign an agreement for the establishment of the Agriculture Produce Procurement Facility between the Ministries of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, and the Ministry of Trade. To give us an overview of what this project is about, I invite the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Reginald Sevre, to address us.
Good morning to all. Recognizing Honorable Minister Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Ministry of Finance, our Minister of Trade, Honorable Vince Henderson, and our Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Roy, all other invited guests. This morning we are here for a very special, very short ceremony that is a capstone of what we want to do in agriculture. We have identified over the past months the key challenges that farmers have faced. And one of the key challenges is a simple statement that farmers are being paid late for the produce that they sell on the market. In order to respond to this challenge, we came up with an idea which was developed and first proposed by the Honorable Prime Minister in last year's budget to create what we call a revolving fund to provide DEXIA with the financial resources to allow them to actually provide payments to farmers in a timely manner, but also to ensure that there is a mechanism for actually procuring farmers' produce. We could hand over a check and call that George and just allow DEXIA to go ahead and to purchase produce from farmers. But Ministry of Agriculture recognized that there is one additional challenge. That coordination between the Ministries of Agriculture and Trade sometimes falls through the crack, and there isn't what you call a proper system for production to lead to the marketing. So there's a complaint by DEXIA that there is enough produce. There's a complaint by agriculture that there is not enough markets. And so both parties are standing on the trajectory in which the farmer is caught in the middle, where he is saying that he's producing and the market is saying that the production is not consistent enough to allow for the meeting of the minds, to allow marketing to go through seamlessly. So what we have done is created a coordinated agricultural produce procurement system that basically gets all the players involved to speak. And the key players are on the marketing side, the DEXIA, which is the representative of the Ministry of Trade, directly responsible for the marketing of agricultural produce. We also have the Dominica Bureau of Standards, who is on the other side representing the quality standards that's required for the produce that we market. And of course, the Ministry of Agriculture is coordinating with the farmers to ensure that there is a consistent supply of good, fresh agricultural produce for marketing. So this is why we are here. The signing of the agreement here is basically to establish the terms and conditions under which each party, each ministry will operate, and to ensure that the financial resources that is made available to DEXIA is actually managed, it's actually used in the manner in which we had designed it, and that we are constantly evaluating the program that we have before us, but also to monitor the market situation to ensure that farmers have a consistent, reliable market for their fresh produce. We're hoping that this will change the game for farmers in terms of they are able to find a dedicated place to market their agricultural produce, but also to have a sure source of income once they sell those produce. So this is why we are here, and we hope that through this arrangement, through this agreement, that all parties will be able to live up to the expectations of the farmers, that they can produce comfortable and feeling that at ease once they have produce available for sale. And it's not just any produce. It is produce that will be dictated by the market, that will be established by quantities and qualities that is set out by DEXIA, and for which it will inform the Ministry of Agriculture for actually producing and instructing farmers to go ahead and produce. We thank the farmers for their continued patronage in the agricultural sector. They are our key players. We also are very grateful for the fishers and also the agro-processors who, over time, we're hoping to induct into this program. Thank you very much, and let's look forward to a very good program as we roll it out from today. Thank you.
Thanks to Pierre Severin for his overview of the Agriculture Produce Procurement Facility, which is all aimed at helping the government to reach its goal to increase agricultural production to 700 of GDP, 700 million contribution to GDP by 2030. At this point, I invite the Honorable Roland Royer, he is the Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, to address us.
Thank you, Dion. I'd like to acknowledge first the Minister for Finance, Dr. Irvin McIntyre, Minister for Trade and Foreign Affairs, Dr. Vincent Henderson, Minister Defoe, Palsec, Lakia, Pierre Savre, staff of Ministry of Trade, and DEXIA, staff of Agriculture. Good morning. Pleasant good morning to you all. I am pleased to provide brief remarks at this short but significant ceremony, the signing of this memorandum of agreement between the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Business, Trade and Energy for the implementation of an agricultural produce procurement facility to be operated by DEXIA. This is yet another testament that the government of Dominica is keeping on its promises. The creation of this procurement facility with startup financing of $5 million to facilitate the procurement of fresh produce is yet another milestone in our quest to increase production of fresh produce on the island. This procurement facility will regain the farmers' confidence in the marketplace as we continue to regain our market share in our traditional markets that we lost due to the passage of Hurricane Maria. The purpose of this facility is to allow for the payment of farmers' produce through DEXIA at least 36 hours after delivery. The Ministry of Agriculture has articulated its target for a more significant contribution of agriculture to GDP by 2030. Working closely with the Ministry of Trade and DEXIA, we are confident this facility will provide a gateway to achieve our targets. The Ministry of Trade, DEXIA, and the Ministry of Agriculture have a long-standing working relationship and have collaborated successfully in several initiatives, such as the White Potato Program. We intend to build on this accomplishment by extending our import substitution program to other crops, such as leafy vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, onions, and cabbages. Consistent with the CARICOM initiative to reduce food imports by 25% by 2025, we aim to reduce the importation of these commodities by at least 25% by 2025. Working closely with the supermarkets which are the primary importers of these commodities, the government of Dominica will provide the necessary technical support and required material to targeted farmers to ensure that there will be a more consistent supply of quality fresh produce. Let me take this opportunity to encourage our farmers to continue investing in agriculture and capitalize on the available opportunities to market the produce locally and regionally. This $5 million procurement facility will solve one of the farmers' main concerns, the timeliness of payment. Based on feedback from some farmers, they have seen a significant improvement in the timely issuance of payment from next year. This can only improve in the month ahead. The financing of this facility is made available for a contracted loan from the World Bank under the Contingency Emergency Response Component, CERC. The CERC is implemented by the Project Implementation Unit of the Agricultural Sustainable Livelihoods Project, headed by Mr. Kelvin Stevenson. There are several other critical components under the CERC, which are geared towards commercialization of the sector and will be implemented over 18 months. Some of the other major components include the establishment of open field irrigation systems, the restoration and expansion of protected agriculture, support to banana and plantain farmers, support to pork, poultry farmers to include hatchery operations, support to agro-processors, and support to hucksters. The unit will provide additional information on these programs as we work towards implementation during the next 18 months. In closing, I would like to take the opportunity to thank again our partners DEXIA and the Ministry of Trade for their collaboration and support, and of course our farmers for their efforts in ensuring food security and food sovereignty in Dominica. Thank you very much.
Our thanks to Honorable Royer for his remarks. As you heard from the Minister, this is a collaborative initiative with the Ministry of Trade, and so we'll now hear from the Honorable Dr. Vince Henderson, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Business, Trade and Energy. Please welcome the Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. Head table, everyone, good morning. It's good to be here. And again, I said it last week. I'm going to say it again this week. I think I'm supposed to be responsible for the protocol thing in the government. So we can dispense with the protocol. Don't call all the names again. Okay, thank you very much. So I won't be addressing everybody on the head table and everybody here. I'll just say good morning, everyone, because we have already acknowledged the people who are present. But I want to take the opportunity to recognize the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture is a very good friend. And I remember him, you know, sometimes when you're getting old, you have to remind young people you knew them when they were little, you know. I get enough of that. I remember I went to my first CADI meeting, and I think it was a professor from Montserrat who, every time he looked at me, he smiled. He told me, "You remind me of my grandson." So I remember those days as a young minister of agriculture. You're not that young, but I remember you when you were leading the Youth in Agriculture program. And I always remember that experience I had with you and your friend Malcolm. And I am very encouraged knowing that you're the Minister of Agriculture. It gives me some confidence in the industry, in the ministry, in the sector, and you are ably assisted by Minister Julian Defoe, as an expert himself in fisheries, and that also gives me great hope and confidence. And then you have young Lakia Joseph, Honorable Lakia Joseph, who herself has already begun to make a name for herself in agro-processing, adding value to our produce, our agricultural produce. So I feel very happy to be here with you this morning. And you're able to achieve something I was not able to achieve as a Minister of Agriculture 20 years ago. We tried our best to work very closely with Ministry of Trade. I remember those days. But the Ministry of Trade then always saw itself as an entity that should be responding to institutions outside of Dominica. They saw themselves more of a WTO, technical implementation unit, and going to CARICOM meetings and OECS meetings and dealing with all these huge issues of trade, which are important, by the way. But DEXIA was never really a favored child. For us, DEXIA has been trade this time around, and I want to recognize the leadership of Paula Plasto and her team. You're not my friend yet, but Mr. Saint-Jean, he reminded me this morning as he was stepping in that, sometimes you have to try to roll with the big boys. So I want to roll with him, so then we might become friends. But I really want to recognize you and the Pag House staff for the work that you've been doing. It's not easy. I know it's not easy. Oxers, farmers, people don't like to come by you. But it's not your fault. It is a system, and just to say for the public record, it is not the first time that we are seeking to sort of create a more structured relationship with farmers. Because I recall back then we had the program, a few programs for hot peppers, you remember that, for dashing, and there was a contract farming system that farmers did not honor. And I recall those days when I was part of St. Joe. In Bells, we had the Bells Farmers Group. I remember one huckster in particular who used to come and snatch the dash-in before DEXIA. So although the farmers would have gotten the input from DEXIA, sign a contract with DEXIA, but when the fella passes and he can give you 10 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents more, they would take it. And that created a serious problem for DEXIA. And over the years, we found DEXIA has found itself in a very difficult position, and more so the last 2 years, where DEXIA has been subsidizing a lot of the things, well, not a lot, is one thing actually, sugar, which we consume too much of. Ms. Plaster doesn't like me saying that because she says if people don't buy it, how are you going to sell? But I think we have to reduce on the consumption of sugar. But DEXIA has found itself in a very difficult position where it has had to subsidize sugar on the market because of the change in suppliers, the changes in the market, inflation, increased cost of transportation, cost of production, just getting the product here in Dominica. That went up significantly. And DEXIA for over a year subsidized sugar on the market without complaining, well, to the public, but they complained to me as soon as I got in. And they complained so much that I had to give them an increase, well, approve an increase with my colleagues. So we found ourselves over the years in a difficult position where we were not able to honor commitments to farmers in a timely manner. And this is why we're here with this facility, launching or establishing the Agriculture Produce Procurement Facility. This facility will help DEXIA to eliminate that problem. So that DEXIA, once we have received your produce, we will be able to pay you within 48, well, the minister said 36 hours. I saw how Paula reacted. So I say in 48 hours, Minister. I hope you don't vex. I don't like Paula to be vexed. So DEXIA will do its best to ensure that within 48 hours, we can have payments ready. But farmers must also prepare themselves, and producers, that this is a business. This is a business. You know, let's stop treating the thing like you just come, it's a rum shop you're running, as a friend of mine would say. That you have, you know, you say, but if in a rum shop, man, that's quiddy. You know, you go to a local shop and you get a good credit. So farmers now and producers must also be prepared to treat this thing as a business, so that 48 hours would not be onerous. That you bring your produce and you will be paid within that time. But we also want to urge our producers, let's take advantage of the opportunity. Let us use the system. And the hucksters, we have had meetings with the Dominica Hucksters Association. We're hoping to continue our engagement with them so that they can use DEXIA not only for the procurement part, but ensuring that they can utilize the pack house. I have been given the assurance by the staff that we have negotiated a package, or still negotiating a package with DHA, so that they can get a better deal. They will have no reasons not to use the pack house. And once we can get that achievement in place, it will help us as we move towards creating our own brand, our Dominica brand. We have to ensure that our exports, our produce that go out to the market, are done so in a manner that will let people feel nice, you know, when it gets to the shelves. The quality is in place. The same thing we did for bananas. Remember, Mr. Stevenson, I forget to acknowledge you for your hard work, because it's you that helped me to survive the Ministry of Agriculture. I mean, I remember Piero gave that to me when Figat died, and had enough pressure. But you gave me a lot of strength, Mr. Stevenson. Thank you for that support over the years, and you continue to give me guidance, even now, and I appreciate that. Again, another person who is there that gives great confidence, and P.S. Sevre, a very good friend for a long time, who has been so passionate about agriculture. But then again, he's a guy who's passionate about anything he's in, because when he was in Ministry of Housing, you would think he was an engineer or a contractor. He has that passion wherever he goes. But I think, so we had those challenges back then, and I'm very happy that we have the facility in place, because as we build the Dominica label, the brand, we need to ensure a number of things throughout the value chain. And once that is done, it makes our work easier for us. That is DEXIA. And this month, I'm still waiting to get the schedule from DEXIA, but DEXIA will be going out to the market. It will be going out to the market because we announced last year that we are going to establish some systems in countries where we have big markets, or should I say, we have adequate demand for our produce. And we have established over the years our market share that is significant, and therefore we are going to the British Virgin Islands, Tortola. We're looking at, of course, at Antigua, St. Martin, St. Kitts. These are the markets that are demanding our produce, and we have established a pretty good reputation. But we have lost market share over the years, and we're hoping to regain those. So as DEXIA goes out, they will be establishing strategic partnerships. We've decided, having reviewed over a year what is the best approach, we've had a little back and forth. And again, the constraints they've had financially, we have decided that we'll look at strategic partnerships, where we know there are already people in the market who are operating, importing Dominican produce, selling it well, and the demand is continuing. They have the wherewithal. Obviously, they must have the facilities. There are basic requirements that they must meet. So we have identified a few players, and we will be meeting with them right in the marketplace so as to determine and to finalize agreements with them so that they can procure our produce. This facility will help to make this more seamless, because what we're looking for is reliability of supply. And we don't want to distort the price of the market, but we also want to ensure that we always have produce. When I say market, locally. So we don't want to, our intention is not to get rid of the hucksters or to get them in a disadvantaged position, because we will also be selling to them. And just to explain how this will work. So DEXIA buys your plantains. DEXIA will resell to hucksters, and in doing so, we will use a credit facility will offer a credit facility to those in good standing. And I'm saying this, again, loudly, because there are people who quit from DEXIA and never get paid back. There are some hucksters we know you have received credit. If you fall on some hard times, meet with us. Let's discuss. Let's negotiate some settlement. Let's see what can be done. But what we have had in the past is extending credit to hucksters, and they've never turned back. So we want to ensure that hucksters who will benefit from this facility are in good standing and will make good their commitments within the stipulated time, 60 or 90 days. I'm not sure yet what DEXIA will finally agree on. The board will advise us. But the intention is to ensure that credit will be extended to those hucksters, so they too will participate in the facility. Now, just to explain again, the facility is not, it's not an annual $5 million to spread around. It is a $5 million facility which will continue to revolve. So effectively, it's almost like a line of credit to DEXIA. DEXIA will have access to those funds, so it doesn't have to depend on you buying his rice and sugar to have money to pay farmers before it can sell the produce. And that is how we are able to achieve the 48-hour payment system. So once DEXIA receives the money from the Ministry of Agriculture, DEXIA will pay the farmers or the producers from whom it has purchased or procured their produce. The funds will be there. Some of them will be used for the things I said, the credit facility for hucksters, and part of our Biodomica campaign. I hope you can give us some of that. So we will some of the key things that will help to build the market. But it is not money to give away. It is money to work so that we can produce more. Hopefully DEXIA will make at least, a little thing. Not much, because they have to manage, they have to refrigerate, they have to store, and all of those things, overheads that have to be considered, but not to make a profit that is unreasonable. It's just simply looking at operations. So as we move to the Biodomica campaign, it's something that we're hoping we will launch in the coming months. And we are working closely in partnership with Ministry of Agriculture, is our premier partner, Ministry of Tourism, small business, because we're also looking at agro-processors, value added. And when we launch the Biodomica campaign, we hope there'll be a number of legacy items from that experience. We're not just going to put signs to buy and so forth. We want to institute a number of things. For example, I listened this morning to Minister Roy, and one thing hit me, reflected on something, a concept in economics they call the asymmetry of information. I think that was Stiglitz that got the Nobel Prize for that. And we seem to have a situation of asymmetry of information. Sometimes we have produce, but the market doesn't know. The market needs something, the producers don't know. We need to overcome that asymmetry of information. And I'm happy to hear the minister, some of the things he shared with us. I'm hoping that we can work more closely so that we can have, and I'm talking about with technology, instant information. So we don't have to wait to go around and find out. It's something you can have immediately. So once we overcome the asymmetry of information, I'm confident that we can have a more robust system so that agriculture can become more of an organized market rather than a disorganized market that it has been for a very long time in certain respects, except for bananas, where we've had a very organized system of marketing. But we need to finally take on the responsibility. And now I'm speaking to the producers. I don't think you can call them farmers again, because they were seeing some farmers here before me. That's not how I know farmers. I seen one standing at the back there with a tie and a long sleeve. I don't even have tie and long sleeve. So I call them producers. so we need to ensure there is a reliability of supply. And when we say reliability of supply, we're talking about quantity and quality. There must be that. We did it for the people in the UK. Why can't we do it for our neighbors and for our local market? Why you have to bring, we have to produce better. And this is where the Ministry of Agriculture and the modernization of agriculture, using research and development, science and technology to ensure that we have the right produce for the right markets. Some markets like they like the potato small. Some like it big. I don't like them big potatoes. I don't know why people getting beaten DEXIA about them liquor thing, but it's not me at buying it, so I can't say much. But I mean, really, truly, we have to meet the market demand. The hotels, we're growing a tourism product. We have now world-class hospitality facilities. We have hotels that are 5-star, that have received international awards. Their clientele demand a certain type of stuff. And Minister of Agriculture, I can't disagree with my colleague publicly, but I'm not substituting import, I'm eliminating it. I want us to target the elimination of any green leafy vegetables, should be importing watermelons. And you gave the story last week in Parliament. We need to eliminate the importation of those things. And I'm saying that I am prepared to work with the Ministry of Agriculture, and if it means the imposition of tariff on some of this imported stuff, especially outside of CARICOM, of course, we will do that. We will do that. Because we need now, so we talk about the producers, the consumers. If there's no demand, you can't supply. So people need to demand our stuff. When I go around and I'm thirsty and I ask people for water and they bring these little looking bottles to me, I tell them I'm not thirsty anymore. I have a partner who came to my office with his liquor thing. I tell him, go with it. When he finishes drinking his water, I tell him, if you can throw that there, I tell him, no boss, go with your thing. I don't want any sign of it. And so I'm saying we can force the market to give us what we want. I'm not saying that we should not be able to compete in price. We must. So this is where DEXIA is also working very closely with some of our agro-processors to start looking at procurement in a manner that could eliminate the high cost of some of their inputs, their raw materials, the packaging material in particular. So we have to ourselves be more conscious in our consumption, and we have to bear in mind that it is us, it is our money that's coming from our pocket, and we must determine what we do with it. And supporting local production, local economy, you get more than just the produce you pay for. You are able to give your neighbor money so that they can continue providing for their families, sending their children to school. That's how, we know it in the rural communities. And although I had an uncle who was famous for bringing in fish, selling all of it and buying viande cochon, I mean, that is what some rural people do, but we have to consume what we produce, So we have to continue being more conscious about some of the things we do so that this new facility can be a success. Because the last thing we want is for DEXIA to be left with a whole bunch of produce, and then we have to get a few pickups and go and distribute them everywhere we can. That will not be the best use of that $5 million loan facility from the World Bank. So please, let's all play our part, and let's make this facility be as productive as it can be to truly get the bang for the buck. Thank you.
Thanks to the Honorable Minister for his very clear explanation of how this, what he called the credit facility, how it will work. And of course, we're very excited about the plans of the Ministry of Trade through DEXIA to increase agricultural production and the sale of our produce, both locally, regionally, and also further afield. As you heard, this is a $5 million procurement facility with funding from the World Bank. So who better to speak to us about the significance of that investment than the Minister for Finance, Honorable Dr. Irvin McIntyre. Please welcome him.
Thank you very much. Minister for Protocol said we could skip protocol, but the truth is, I just enjoy the protocol part. So let me recognize Dr. Henderson, our Minister for Trade, Foreign Affairs, Honorable Roy, our Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Defoe, Honorable Joseph, P.S. Daly, P.S. Sevre, Mr. Stevenson, Mr. Cyril, Mr. Brumant, and all the senior members from Agriculture and DEXIA and Ministry of Trade. Okay, our records have shown that total exports of primary products has dropped significantly from 41.03 million in 2023 to 13.07 million in 27 as a direct impact of climate events from the 2013 trough system to the passage of Hurricane Maria in 2017. The reduction in banana production from black sigatoka disease infestation further deepened this decline. The impacts of economic shocks, fuel crisis, pandemics, and natural disasters has left producers of agricultural produce at the mercies of market challenges, leading to an erosion of market shares in traditional, regional, and international markets, and a substantive challenge to our food and nutrition security in Dominica and the entire OECS region. The combined effects of these catastrophic events on the agricultural sector, leading to the subsequent closure of markets in 2020 by the global COVID-19 pandemic, posing a major hurdle for the recovery of the market share. There's a dire need to restore our productive capacities along the food and agricultural supply chain that demands strategic and direct interventions in an effort to expand exports, provide adequate supplies to feed ourselves, and to add value to excess production in the development of new agro-processed products. The challenge remains, however, in responding to a simple yet critical challenge faced by our farmers on a daily basis, as they receive late payments for sales of farm produce or struggle to find reliable, stable markets for their produce. We have listened to this cry across the sector and have since established a response mechanism, a revolving fund implemented through the Agriculture Produce Procurement Facility managed by DEXIA under the supervision of the Ministry of Trade and in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, with an initial capital subscription of $5 million for either direct farmers' payments or indirect payments under contractual arrangements with produce dealers, exporters, and hucksters. Financial resources to capitalize the facility were secured as a concessionary loan from the World Bank under the crisis response valued at $8 million. These funds were secured to restore our production capacities and to enhance marketing arrangements for our farmers and exporters under the Agricultural Livelihood and Climate Resilience Project in response to the global threat to food security. Today's signing ceremony between the Ministries of Trade and Agriculture is a demonstration of government's commitment at ensuring that we create a sustainable response to the farmers' challenge of having a secured income and market guarantees that complement and support their production efforts. This commitment is a continuation of government's effort to improve market access of our fresh produce, build confidence in our farmers, and stabilize their cash flows so they are able to produce consistent supplies to meet domestic food demand on the local, regional, and extra-regional trade, meet their personal and family commitments, and reinvest on their farms. This is consistent with our goal for the agricultural sector to contribute $700 million to GDP by 2030 and represents a key tool that will facilitate the reduction of our food import bill, particularly through joint efforts in production of onions, white potatoes, and leafy vegetables. The Ministry of Finance, Economic Development, Climate Resilience, and Social Security therefore echoes the sentiments of the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, as he stated that as long as the farmers have a secured market, they will continue to produce. I hereby endorse this initiative between the Ministries of Trade and Agriculture for creating a formal, organized system to coordinate production, procurement, and marketing activities to ensure that farmers produce within a well-planned or scheduled production system, have stable, reliable, and efficient market arrangements, and receive timely and reasonable payments for their fresh produce sales within 48 to 36 hours. I look forward to successful implementation of this initiative. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable McIntyre, Dr. McIntyre. And at this point, we move to the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between the two ministers, Honorable Dr. Henderson and Honorable Roland Roye.
Next guy, Mr. Tigo. I'm probably not right. Mr. Roland.
Yes, several.
Oh, yeah, the,
Yeah.
You know what's there, I take that.
I'm going to follow. It goes in that direction.
We should.
The Honorable Finance Minister is presenting the $5 million on behalf of the government of Dominica. Thank you, everyone. Please take your seats again. Congratulations to the Ministries of Trade and Agriculture on the signing of this procurement facility. We look forward to the results, to greater efficiency, and as the Minister of Finance said, the better coordination of the sale of agricultural produce. At this point, I invite the Director for Trade, Agriculture, the Director of Agriculture, Mr. Ricky Brumant, to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I see you've already starting to close the divide between trade and agriculture. That's good. This is another very good day in the Commonwealth of Dominica, and as such, I am honored to thank God, yes, for his goodness, for his blessings. He has blessed this country so much. I express thanks to the government of Dominica, led by the Honorable Dr. Scarrett, and represented here, of course, by Honorable Dr. McIntyre, Honorable Vince Henderson, and Honorable Roland Royer, Minister for Agriculture. Your strategic direction for the development of Dominica's people is certainly heightened today, is certainly expressed by your actions today. Your work showcases continued goodwill and progress. Thank you, Honorable Ministers, and as well, Minister of State, Honorable Defoe, and Parliamentary Secretary, Honorable Lakia Joseph. Your presence here today expresses as well that same goodwill and progress for Dominica. To the crafters of the MOU, and in particular P.S. Sevra, who has worked tirelessly with your staff of the Ministry of Agriculture from January 3rd, giving unwavering and decisive direction to effect strategic change, today being a classic example. Thank you, sir. To P.S. Daly, thank you for being a very good partner in the business of trade and agriculture, helping to carve a course for increased exports and hence greater foreign exchange. You also provide guidance to your team to accomplish that. It's a pleasure working with you. To the staff of both ministries, Ms. Platsko and your team, and the staff of the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Ansem, Dr. Sentimi, and of course, Mr. Cyril. Your presence is testimony of your standing dedication to developing these vital sectors. Thank you for your energy, spirit, and continued effort in bringing to life government's policy. Mr. Stevenson, Honorable Henderson have expressed your long-term execution of work with the ministry, wherein Bananas are now managing the project, the World Bank funded project. To the farmers present, we cannot express thanks enough for what you do. We pray God for continued good health and strength as you farm every day for this country's benefit. You do this for our betterment. We are fully aware that without farms, there will be no food and there will be no money to help our neighbors, as Honorable said. To the media, thank you for disseminating necessary and vital information, especially for today's activity, for expressing knowledge and bringing out this information for the public's consumption. No doubt today's activity showcases a government in action. To all present, including our partners, thanks for gracing us with your usual collaboration and support, and today your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming and being a part of this august occasion. May God bless us all, and of course, may God bless further this already chosen and set apart nation. Thank you, and may God bless all of you.
There's nothing left for me to say except to thank the Director of Agriculture for his lovely vote of thanks and to wish all of you a wonderful morning. Have a good day.
Yes.